With the way the reception to Black Ops 7 has gone so far, I think we can all safely say Treyarch have got to do whatever they can to pull it out of the bag this year. They've got to correct all of the bad changes they've made over the past few years. They've got to include and improve upon some of the good changes they've made as of late. Most importantly, listening to the community, which I will admit they do now and again, but in every single game it seems there's always a few things that Treyarch need to do to knock Black Ops 7 Zombies out of the water. Especially this year, because I have a feeling, given the way the reveal of the game's gone, it's going to be really hard for Treyarch to convince people that this year's Zombies is going to be better. So in my opinion, one of the most important changes that Treyarch have got to make, you could say something they've got to revert back to, is a unique and good looking HUD in Zombies. Now in BO6, because this was such a massive complaint in Cold War Zombies, Modern Warfare 3 and Vanguard, they attempted to find a way around this, but ultimately the solution was so simple: give us a good, unique looking HUD in Zombies, yet they never did it. Instead, in Black Ops 6, they allowed you to edit the HUD so you could remove certain elements that you didn't want on your screen, to the point where it could be completely blank. You could remove the minimap, but at the end of the day, that was not what people were asking for. People want a HUD, but we don't want it to look like the one in Warzone or multiplayer. I don't think people are necessarily asking for the removal of the minimap, because I'll be honest, it's useful. It lets you know where the zombies are around you. Knowing how much health you've got left is useful. There are old school players, I would call them, who would just prefer to not have these elements on your screen, and Treyarch did give you that option, but this didn't fix the majority of the complaints. The HUD elements still looked ugly. If you look at the Zombies HUDs in Black Ops 3 or Black Ops 4, even going back to Black Ops 1 or 2, okay, there was nothing uniquely special about them, but they didn't look out of place. They felt like they belonged in Zombies. This is surely such a simple change, just to redesign a unique HUD for Zombies. That has got to be one of the easiest things they can do, but for some reason in BO6, instead of doing that, knowing it was a complaint, they tried to fix it another way. I can only guess they wanted the HUD to be transferable between Warzone, multiplayer and Zombies, allowing players to easily get into all three of the modes without having to get used to a different HUD. If that's the case, then you're also assuming COD players are stupid. So even though in comparison to the other things on this list, it's tiny, I think it could make the biggest impact. Black Ops 7 Zombies needs to have its own unique HUD that is themed towards the mode. Another huge change we need in Black Ops 7 Zombies, well, it's two things really, and they both revolve around the perks. I would like to see more new perks. However, I will say, just going off memory, I could be wrong here, but if you look in Black Ops 3, we only had one new perk, that was Widow's Wine. In Black Ops 2, we had Tombstone, Who's Who. I'm pretty sure that was it, right? The point is, we don't tend to get many new perks per game. It's not like we've ever gotten one new perk every map. So although I would love to see more than one new perk per game, that isn't really my complaint. Instead, Treyarch need to stop rehashing old ones and marketing them as new content. They did it in Black Ops 6, where old perks such as Double Tap, Vulture Aid, Death Perception weren't available during launch, and instead they gave us them as seasonal content. That would be amazing if they were new, but these are old perks. But they were releasing and marketing them as if they were new just because they'd added a few new abilities to them. If Treyarch do that again in Black Ops 7, I swear I'm going to blow my top. Every single perk in BO6 needs to be in BO7 from the beginning, or if they think that's too many, that's fine, take away the more trash ones like Death Perception and Melee Macchiato, don't reintroduce them into Black Ops 7 at all, and instead give us new ones. Do not take away the perks we've already got in Zombies and then give them to us later on in Season 2, 3 or 4 and market them as new. I would much rather have a new perk that isn't really good, such as Melee Macchiato. Honestly, it's ass. Yeah, you might want to do a challenge now and again, only punching zombies, but it's not a good perk. Elemental Pop in Cold War is also not great, especially when ammo mods exist, but I would rather that than them keep rehashing old perks. One of the most controversial changes that Treyarch made to Zombies back in Cold War, that is, I would say, the biggest complaint, and this really bunches into a load of other things as well, into the new systems of Zombies, and that is armor. But alongside this also goes loadouts, salvage, and the point system. All of this makes up the new systems in Zombies. Now, on one hand, you have your new Zombies players that loves the way Zombies plays now, and then on the other hand, you've got a huge portion of Zombies players that hate these new systems and would rather go back to the way Zombies played pre-Cold War. Well, really, pre-Black Ops 4, because there is no doubt that Zombies does play drastically different now compared to what it did before these huge system changes were made. Speaking on armor specifically, I definitely think there's an argument to say it does work in zombies. The question has always been, is it necessary? It is basically a way for you to get more health. The original way of doing that was purchasing Juggernog, and you could craft a shield to put on your back. But the difference is, armor plates makes current zombies so easy. It's gone from you being able to take 5 hits before you're downed to 20. That may be an exaggeration, but it definitely feels like it. There is not really a challenge in terms of difficulty anymore outside of doing the main Easter egg. I have seen the argument that armor plates are necessary in modern zombies due to the amount of boss spam. If armor plates didn't exist, then you would go down too easily. Imagine coming up against Uberkaus with no plates. But there is a simple solution to that. If armor plates didn't exist, then Treyarch would rebalance the game around that. Uberkaus would either be easier, he would have less spawns, or he would have less health. You would balance it just how you did with the Panther, for example, in Black Ops 3. So that argument isn't really valid. What it should be is, are armor plates necessary? Because we never used to have them, no. But on the other side of the argument, I can see why Treyarch would want to keep them around because it does make zombies easier. And let's be honest, from World at War to Black Ops 4, the game mode could be very difficult. Even I'll admit that. It largely did depend on what map you played, but classic zombies wasn't easy by any means, whereas now it is. And if it's easier, then it's more accessible for not just new players, but old players as well who found it too difficult. Look, I'll be honest and just give you my opinion here. I am actually not against armor. Even I find zombies way more casual now. Back in the day, it could be stressful. I probably do find it more fun to play because I don't have to worry about getting cornered anymore. Because of the combination of armor plates and field upgrades, it's almost impossible to go down these days. But I can see why so many people don't want it at the same time. That's just something that Treyarch have got to decide. Statistically, is the armor alone making more people play the game mode? I don't know, and I don't really know how they measure that, because there's so many other things that come into it. Another thing people want to return is the old point system. Again, this also isn't a complaint that I have specifically. With the old point system, it meant you would get points based off where you shot the zombies, and you could also do a combination with your knife, which if you did it right, would result in you getting more points. In those earlier rounds, that was great. The new point system pretty much gives you the same amount of points whichever way you kill the zombies. Yes, there's critical shots, but there's not really that much strategy in it. Honestly, when you get to like round 20, 25, 30, it really makes no difference. So I can see where the complaints come from, but just for me personally, compared to these other issues I'm talking about, it would be one of the last things to change. But I do know I'm probably in the minority there. The one I do agree on though is loadouts. Look, it was cool in Cold War, and it's still handy loading into a map with the best weapon in the game, with the weapon that you would want from the mystery box anyway, but it does make the mystery box and war weapons totally redundant. Having played all of the games where loadouts exist, Cold War, Vanguard, Modern Warfare 3 and now Black Ops 6, Treyarch have still not found a way to make the mystery box or war weapons useful again. I only ever spin the box for a second weapon, which I never use anyway, or the wonder weapon. These are two classical features in zombies that were staples in the game mode. Think back in Black Ops 1, how important it was to buy war weapons and then roll the mystery box later on. Whatever weapon you got from the box could determine how long it would last in a game of zombies, where now it doesn't matter because you can start with the best weapon in the game. Yes, of course it's a choice. You can, if you want to, choose to spawn in with a rubbish pistol and then purchase war weapons and work your way up, but the majority of players aren't going to do that. The fun of zombies was that it felt like a survival mode, especially in those earlier rounds. Whereas now, loading in with an assault rifle, even if it's of low rarity, it still makes you pretty OP on those early rounds. Where zombies, and I think rebuildable barriers come into this as well, doesn't really feel like a survival game mode anymore. And I don't know how Treyarch fixed this other than removing the loadout systems altogether. But then, I do think there would be an argument to say that would be the game mode moving backwards. So those are all of the big gameplay system changes I think Black Ops 7 needs to make. Honestly, it's not that many, because there are a few things that Black Ops 6 fixed. For example, dedicated crews, that was a major complaint from Cold War, and they were brought back in Black Ops 6 Zombies. We've also been told that every map in BO7 will have an intro cutscene, so that's another thing they fixed. The HUD, I think they definitely need to change, and that's simple. There's no excuse for that. I also don't think you're asking for much, telling them not to keep removing old perks and reintroducing them as new. However, armor, the point system, and loadouts is a more difficult one. There is a simple solution here, and that's to introduce a classic mode. So players who like the new way of playing can still play it that way, but then players who like the old way of playing can play zombies the classic way. I think that would probably be the best way to go about it. There are 3 other things though. 1, zombies needs to have the ability to play offline and remove the pause timer. The fact that you can't play zombies offline is a joke, to be honest, and only being able to pause for 15 minutes. Yes, you can save the game, which is cool, but it's still annoying. BO7 Zombies also needs to have a way better story than what we saw in Black Ops 6. It's something the Dark Ether story has been lacking, so hopefully with the return of Richtoff and Taku Nikolai and Dempsey, the storyline picks up again. And finally, just better maps. However, with every map taking place in the Dark Ether now, that allows Treyarch to create whatever map they want. Any location, any time, and especially with the Dark Ether skybox, that should mean we get visually epic maps again and not boring facilities. But yeah, those are all of the changes I can think of that Treyarch need to make in Black Ops 7 to at least give it a chance, because judging from the reception I've seen so far, it looks like this year is going to be a real struggle even getting players on board. So even the tiniest of mistakes, if they're not listening to the community, they're only dooming themselves. But yeah, let me know any other Black Ops 7 changes you would make in the comment section below. As always, hopefully you've enjoyed. If you have, drop a like rating. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest content on the channel, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.